I've got something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is? Then grab onto it, it's just for you. Give it a little squeeze and say, how do you do? Something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is? Then grab onto it, it's just for you. Give it a little squeeze and say, how do you do? There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket. I've got something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is? Then grab onto it, it's just for you. Give it a little squeeze and say, how do you do? There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket.
I'd like to think there's a little something special in everybody's front pocket. At least that's what I like to think. You know, in days like these. I don't know. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Talk Gaming. This is a special edition episode because, after all, we did hit 30K or 30,000 subscribers a couple days ago or yesterday. I'm not really sure. I kind of forgot. This was supposed to go up. Well, we were supposed to do it last night, essentially, but I had some technical issues. You can still see there's kind of weird darkness and stuff with the lighting for the cameras. I have two webcams, actually. I don't know if this is a question because we are doing a Q&A today. But I haven't looked at any of them because I don't want to, you know, dwell on them too long. I want to answer them kind of naturally. But as you can see, like, I've got two cameras. I got one right here, which is one you're looking at me through. And then I've got this guy up here to offer kind of a noir perspective. And all of the inputs were switched around. So in XSplit, it thought that this camera was that camera and this mic was that mic. I don't know what it was. Something with the USB controller or hub or something I don't really understand. Seems to be working now, so we'll just go with that. But hello, everyone who's come out. Hey, Thirst. Hey, Akash. We got Leica. I saw Neat in there as well. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to go through some questions. I'm going to go through some questions off of the Discord, which if you're not a member of, then make sure you join. There's links all over the place in the description. Also, up here, and then also in the chat. I'm sure my mods are going to be throwing those all over the place so that you can join. We really do have a good time, and I'm going to try to stay more active. Basically, recently there's been a glitch or some issue with the Google Pixel ever since I updated to the 8.0, I think it's Oreo, Android Oreo now or something. All of my notifications are screwed up. So if I get a notification from Twitter or something, if I have the notifications on, it will just repeat. So like if it's the bird sound, it'll just go cheep, 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 and it won't stop until I put it on Do Not Disturb mode, at which point I don't ever hear the notifications or anything. So I end up missing a whole lot of stuff and never responding. So I'm trying to fix it. I might just find a way to hack and go back to the previous edition of Android. But nonetheless, that's why I haven't been able to respond to those things as quickly as I would have liked to. Plus, I've just been busy. I've got a show going on right now. This show right here I'm in. That's why my face is naked, because I'm playing a young teen boy and I need to look young. So that's why there's a naked face. But yeah, we got some people in. If you can put in the chat how long you've been subscribed for, that would be really cool, especially because you can look back on it on this video in the future, maybe when we hit another milestone, and kind of see what we were all saying and thinking. I went back and I watched a video of Markiplier when he had just hit 30,000 subscribers, and he was doing a Q&A type of thing like this, and he didn't have a chat pull up like we have in this one. And so I'm really excited to look back in the future and see where we all are. Occasionally I'll look back and see like the 2,000 subscribers special way back when, before Fallout 4 had launched. How excited we all were, things like that. Like, it's just weird. It's fun to look back. But yeah, we're having it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, we got let's see, Leica says that he's been around since 11K or so. Thirst around 5,000. John says 2 years. You are a boss. You're an OG. If you joined the Discord or are not a member of the Discord yet, let the moderators know that you have been subscribed for 2 years, because then you get all sorts of special name tags and you'll be OG for sure. Member of the Fagazis, probably. It'll be great. Yeah, Thirst, you can alter the notifications on Discord. I know they get crazy. For me, I have to turn them all off except for ones I'm directly tagged in. So if you're trying to get my attention, I probably won't see it unless you tag @LukeyPoo in the Discord, just as a little thing. Deathstroke, I've been subscribed since you uploaded The Witcher 3 Changed Gaming Forever. That's an interesting thing. A lot of people have been subscribed since that video, and I want to actually, let's pull this up. Let's perform a little drill here. Video manager, because that is certainly is one of my most popular videos and one of the most effective videos in terms of actual like viewer engagement with subscriptions. So in terms of videos, you aren't just looking for why can't this come up? There. Will this work? Yes, there we go. So yeah, I did not think that that video was going to be successful in the slightest. I really did not. I didn't mean for that to be successful. I didn't think it was going to be successful, but it really exploded. It got up to like 100,000 views without me really knowing why. And here it is. This is the page for it. If I can switch screens. So like here we are. And yeah, look at the old Talk Gaming logo. I really didn't think this was going to be successful, but 200 and if you can see that 221,000 views later, it's a little crazy. 8,000 likes, only 430 dislikes. I don't know why it was so successful as a video. I think a lot of it probably had to do with the fact I was saying what people really wanted to say and really were thinking. And I also bashed Fallout 4 a little bit, which was a game that people were horrifically disappointed with. But in terms of the video itself, technically speaking, it's really not a very good video. Like, it's just got some gameplay, like not even cut. It's just gameplay. I'm talking over it. And then... yeah, this is all the same clip, and then it's over. And look at the way the old podcast worked. Look at all the crap in the background. My shoes are on the floor. I got random drawings on the whiteboard. Oh, Molly came over and she wrote on the whiteboard, everybody loves Molly's boobs, which was very considerate of her. Look how low res this is. It's just, yeah, like technically speaking, it's not a good video, but a lot of people came from it and subscribed after that video. And it just goes to show you, like, a lot of the time, you don't even know what's going to be successful or what's not. You just kind of have to do your thing and maybe success will come to you. I don't want to say it's all luck, but there is a weird element of luck to it. I mean, because I did not do anything particularly unusual with this video, though. I'm very excited and thankful that this video did very well. The Witcher 3, The Ultimate Critique. I put so much effort into this one. I'm so glad that it's been successful, because some of my critiques weren't very successful. I did this one on The Last of Us, and that was a split response because it wasn't really a critique. It was more a commentary, because I felt that I couldn't really critique it in the same way I did this one. It was more of a commentary than anything else. But yeah, no, the fact that this was received so well, I did mess up with this scene in particular. I said that you had to go a certain route. You actually can just diss them and not help them get the horses. I don't remember how that mistake happened. I think I misread my notes or something like that. I don't know. But like, it's just little things like this. They find a ton of success and you aren't really sure why. Like, look at this. Joseph Anderson. He does fantastic critiques. His one on Prey got like 300,000 views. And, you know, I got one on Assassin's Creed Unity, another video I didn't think was going to be very successful at all. And then this one, they're both in the same ranking as that. And that's just insane to me. That's crazy. I can't explain it. But yeah, so I'm very thankful. But a lot of people came after that Witcher video. It's a little weird because I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let me fix this. There we go. I'm also looking at, I saw Josh Kuehl. I am not good at just off the cuff saying names, so I'm not even going to try. But Josh mentions nice audio. I appreciate that, but it also could very likely be sarcastic because this microphone is such a hit or miss. It either works so well or it works terribly and just stops working in the middle of a podcast, and I can't really explain it. It just happens. I do need to invest in more sound tech and upgrades, but I got to get through this year and get rid of some debts and things like that first. So in the future, that might happen. It's pronounced Coil. It's German. No one gets it right. You're fine. Josh Coil. That's actually kind of cool. Josh Coil. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Coil. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. You learn something new every day, folks. But okay. Let's get into this. Yeah, Thirst says, I think I joined after I heard you shitting on Fallout. Yeah, a lot of people. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I really do think I was one of the first people that was adamantly anti-Fallout 4 within a month of the game's release. I was horribly disappointed about it. I had a tiny channel, though, so I didn't get a lot of recognition for it, and I stopped covering the gaming stuff as a result. But when I came back, I just really ranted against it. And by that time, the frustration with Bethesda had already started boiling. And then with the Creation Club, with all of these other videos people have been putting out that are anti-Bethesda, anti-Fallout 4, anti-Fallout 3, people retroactively realizing it's not that good compared to New Vegas. I think I was in the right place at the right time saying the right stuff. But yeah. I don't know how it got 9.5 on IGN and The Witcher only got 9.3. Though the fact that anybody like takes IGN seriously, I don't know. I really do think there's a place for like, this is the tough thing though. Is there a place for a new like internet gaming network? Is there a new place, or is there a place for a new sort of consortium and hodgepodge or network of creators and gamers that cover gaming specifically, that keep their integrity? I mean, that's tough because you can go for that, but it's like the chicken and the egg. Will that initially, like, was IGN always corrupt, or did it become corrupt and just fake and stupid because it got big? Were they corrupt and that's why they got big? Like, which way is it? If like people like myself, Carrick, and somebody like Joseph Anderson, whoever other YouTubers, Angry Joe, whoever you got together, very opinionated people, you throw them all into a network and they all build it up. I don't know if that would be able to stand, because you got like big personalities like Angry Joe and Carrick and all those guys. And I don't know if it would eventually corrupt itself. So I don't really know if that could ever work. But there's got to be a place for it to some extent. Yeah, I can't spell malign without IGN. Yes, and this is my shirt. You're killing me. Smalls. Sandlot, great movie. But okay, let's run through some quick comments. These are coming off of the Discord. Let me here, just so we have something entertaining. We'll go to this. This is very early in the game. I captured this in the first like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. So this is still like the tutorial stages. But if you have a Nintendo Switch, you absolutely should go and get Mario Rabbids. It's actually kind of fantastic. It's not incredibly long, but it looks like there's going to be some really challenging DLC that comes out for a pretty cheap price. And for the replay value, it's actually pretty good, especially once you learn how to play it. I'd say the most you could get out of this is like 2 playthroughs, and that's about it. but the DLC will probably add to it. It's overall just a really, really solid game. So we'll let that play in the background while we run through this. A few questions from the YouTube chat. I'll jump back and forth between the two. Yeah, we'll go from there. So let's see. First comment is from Deathspook of 5666, also Deathstroke on the Discord. He says, Lukaboo, congrats on that juicy 30K. What is the worst game you physically played that isn't Mass Effect Andromeda, and what factors made you hate it? The worst game that I've physically played. Oh, geez. Like, and this is one of the tough things, because, like, a lot of people would expect, like, Fallout 4 was that terrible. Fallout 4 on paper is actually not a terrible game. The main issues was that it didn't meet people's expectations and the marketing. So it's, like, if you play that game as an open world shooter, it's actually pretty fun, and it's got a cool loot system and crafting system. It's actually pretty awesome. The problem was that people were expecting a Fallout game, and they didn't get that. So, the worst game I've physically played. Oh, geez. See, I purposely didn't prepare for this, but then I didn't. Let me check my Steam library, see if I have any that I abandoned very quickly. Oh, one of the worst games, I tried playing Wick. If you're not familiar with that, Wick is a horror game, and it's horrible in the best way possible. It's horrible in that it tries to be horrible. So, like, I typically don't waste my time or money on buying a game that's iffy, and like whatever trucker game that won like a 0 from IGN or whatever. I typically don't waste my time with that to begin with, and I typically check reviews before I play games, but I tried to play Wick, and that was actually a pretty horrible experience. I got so grumpy. I had friends over. We were trying to play through it, and that game affected me so much that, like, I was grumpy after I tried playing it. I was so grumpy, I didn't want to, like, talk with people. It was just horrible, and the way it did that is, like, horrible jump scares. It was just tough. It was miserable. So I'll say that was horrible in the best way possible, if that is an answer that satisfies you. Also, Ark Survival. I'm really not impressed by that game. Maybe it's just the time like requirement initially. I just can't get into that game. I spent $30 on it, and I just can't get into it. It's just, I don't get that game. I don't find it fun. I don't find it interesting. I just don't like it. It's just not good. I don't know how to answer that. I just don't like it. I don't like Ark. Let's see. Marat Akhmadayev, is that right? Marat Akhmadayev asks, what do you think about CD Projekt Red's response to the bad comments about working there? Well, because this is live, I can actually pull that up because I'm a baller. What other gaming podcast is going to do this live? None of them, except maybe a few of them. I don't know. I don't watch that many of them. Right here. Also, today, the Witcher series is like 85% off, most of it at least. It's like you can get The Witcher 3 with all its DLC, I think, for $20. It's an absolute steal. You got to go and check that out. This right here, let's see. Oh, I hit the wrong one. There we go. And let's pop over to this. This is what he's referring to. Witcher 3 developer puts out vague statement about studio morale. And this is interesting. Let me slide the chat over there. This is interesting because basically, if you didn't see the video I made on it, a bunch of other gaming YouTubers covered this and talked about it. Like a bunch of people. It kind of exploded. And it was really interesting because it was based on Glassdoor reviews, which can be faked. Don't get me wrong. They can be faked. But when all of them are saying that basically the same thing, you have to imagine that if a few of those are real, like not all of them are going to be fake. A few of them have to be legit. And so that, like, there's elements to that I think there is a slight element of credibility. But basically what they said is really kind of vague, but they don't really deny anything while also not confirming anything. So first off, we'd like to talk about the departures. In 2015, when we released The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, we were over 200 developers strong, and that was the core crew of the studio. Keep in mind, Bethesda Game Studios was about 150-ish when they launched Fallout 4. Since then, they've added on a bunch of new developers and another secondary studio in Montreal, I want to say. But that's probably handling their mobile games, so it's probably not directly related to their core RPGs. RPGs. So that, like, similar sized teams. That's just a fun little note. Since then, we've almost doubled the head count and we're still hiring. Do people leave? Sure they do. We always wish them all the best and respect both their decision and the feedback they give us as the reason for their departure. We are continuously working on making Red a good place to work for everyone, but we also have a set of values that constitutes who we are now and how we do things. Okay, so again, they don't confirm, they don't deny anything, but they say, listen, we got a way of doing things. So does a departure, even a high-profile one, mean that a project is in danger? One would need to be very courageous to base the future of a AAA role-playing to of such scope on one person or a few people. Every role-playing game developer... every role-playing game ever developed seemed impossible to achieve at the moment we set out to create it. It took us 5 years to finish The Witcher 1. We had to make our own engine to complete The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. We had to entirely reinvent the way we make games to deliver an open world for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. When we start down the road to create something, we know the destination and we're sure of one thing. Even if something feels impossible, it doesn't mean it is. And as it turns out, most often things are perfectly possible. They just require a lot of faith, commitment, and spirit. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't see what this has to do with everything. This approach to making games is not for everyone. This is where they're actually answering some of the complaints on Glassdoor. Now, this is why I think that they probably have heard this from employees leaving. Employees saying, we had to work too many hours during crunch, which I actually will acknowledge is a stupid excuse for quitting a job, because when you get into game development, it's part of the industry that you're going to have crunch. Just like if you're an actor and you're performing in a show, for instance, like a theater or musical, there's a tech week. Just like for On Golden Pond, this show that I'm currently in, we had a pretty relaxed schedule moving up and towards the performance dates. And then the week before we open on a Friday, say, that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are there every day till about 11 p.m. or as late as 3 a.m. That's part of the job. I could say that, oh, this theater company is a terrible company because they kept us late. Well, that's part of the job. That's part of what you're getting yourself into when you sign on. So I don't think that that's an actual rational excuse. The one thing I would say that is troublesome were all the complaints of poor management, people getting torn down, having their ideas shut down, all of those. But as they say, this approach to making games is not for everyone. It often requires a conscious effort to reinvent the wheel, even if you personally think it already works like a charm. But you know what? We believe reinventing that wheel every friggin' time is what makes a better game. It's what creates innovation and makes it possible for us to say we've worked really hard on something, and we think it's worth your hard-earned cash. If you make games with a close enough is good enough attitude, you end up in a comfort zone, and you know where the magic happens. Cyberpunk 2077 is progressing as planned, but we are taking our time. In this case, silence is the cost of making a great game. As always, many thanks for being so engaged in what we do. It's all worth the hours we put in it. So what is that? What is that actually saying? Well, mainly it just sounds like they're blaming the former employees, saying that they didn't have the right attitude and they never really belonged at the studio. As this little section right here, if you make games, implying that the people they're talking about have this mentality with a close enough is good enough attitude, you end up in a comfort zone. I can understand that. And we don't know what these exit interviews were like, but the fact that they felt the need to mention and actually address it, I found pretty interesting. So I don't know. It's interesting. Game development is certainly not for everybody. And if you're looking for a comfortable place to work, you probably want to go work at like EA. They seem to have a much more comfortable and relaxed style of working on these things. But then again, they're a publisher, so it's a slightly different field. Basically, game development has certain negative elements to it and positive elements, and those negative elements at times will feel like they're counterbalancing and overwhelming the positive, but that's just part of it. A long answer to a pretty simple question. I'm sorry, but okay, if we jump back to this in the chat, Thirst asked, do you like Divinity Original Sin 2? I do. I haven't had the time to finish it. It does get a little samey, but as a co-op game, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm having a great time with it as a co-op game. Having friends come over, we go through it. It really is actually pretty great. I really like the way they do things. As an RPG, I think it definitely is pretty fantastic. As whatever you would call it, as a turn-based combat system, it's not very good. It really struggles, and there's certain ways to just completely overwhelm it. Magic armor versus physical armor is one thing that can be easily broken in that game, and if you seek to break it, it can get broken really fast. It's kind of like South Park, The Stick of Truth. That game's combat could be absolutely broken without even meaning to, and that's what I had happen to me. So I think there's elements of it that are amazing, but it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it most certainly is worth $45. You're going to get way more than your buck's worth out of that game. I highly recommend picking that up if you haven't already. Let's see. Oh, Matador Ush is asking or says, I hear people say EA won the worst company of the year award like 3 years in a row. Is that just an opinion, or is it a legit award? It's like an award, but it's like it's not like it's based on actual measurements of something. It is an award they give out, but they beat out, I think, like Bank of America the year that they caused a bunch of people to lose their houses and stuff. Like, they are not the worst company in America. They just happen to have a lot of people voting for them to be the worst company in America because a lot of people are frustrated with them. So it's not quite the same thing. But as an employee, just look at, I think for CD Projekt Red, they had like 50 reviews on Glassdoor. On Glassdoor, EA has like 3,700. So those are most certainly legitimate, and they're all pretty damn positive, which if you think that they're going to be fake, they're probably going to be fake negatives. So I don't think that it's quite the same. Thirst says, have you played Dragon Age Inquisition? Everyone seems to hate on it, but it's one of my favorite games. I have not played through the whole thing. I probably should. My girlfriend is crazy obsessed with it to the point where she'll just go through a new like playthrough of it, really for no reason other than that she just kind of felt like doing it. And I don't really understand that. I've tried to get her into like The Witcher or to play Uncharted 4. I lent that to her, or The Last of Us, but she just keeps going back to that and playing it. If it works for you, it works for you. I've just never sat down to play through it from scratch. The new, whatever the new Dragon Age is going to be, I'll play through that. Maybe I'll play through Inquisition to get ready for it and to kind of roll myself into it like I played The Stick of Truth, getting ready for the Fractured Butthole. But in terms of just casual play, it's not currently on my list. But I mean, I'm open to it. Yeah, Leica, the Fractured Butthole came out today. I have not officially picked it up yet. But I do actually plan on getting it. It's apparently about 20 hours long, but it doesn't have as much shocking humor in it as the Stick of Truth, which I kind of expected. When you bring something from Obsidian and take it to Ubisoft, and a lot more eyes are on it, it kind of makes sense that it's going to be like that. Apparently the combat system is much improved, which I'm glad to hear, because that was really the only gameplay element in the first game, and it was the one thing that was easily broken. Over on Discord, let's see, Banana Brains says, what will you do when you inevitably reach 100,000 subscribers? I think you should do a face reveal, your real face. I believe you are just an alien disguised as a human. I want to see your true form. But in all seriousness, would you want a channel that has 100,000 people watching it, or do you prefer having a smaller community? I mean, yes and no. I might do an actual face reveal. I will let you know that. But like yes and no as to the do I want a big channel? Because with yes, the thing that I forget who said it. Oh, you know what? It was a writer, an author, a playwright actually, by the name of, was it? Yeah, no, it was by the name of Samuel Hunter, and he's written incredible pieces like The Whale, Bright New Boise, Rest. He's done some incredible writing, but he was asked, he won the MacArthur Genius Grant, and he's like 30, and he won it, and he was asked, what has that allowed you to do? And he said, it's allowed me to say no. And that's the most important thing in my life right now, is the ability to say no. And when a YouTube channel gets the ability to say no, it's fantastic. And that's when you should, in theory, really thrive. The problem is with companies like IGN, for instance, is that they get to the point where they can say no to a developer saying, hey, we want to pay you to give us a good review. But then they go and they hire a ton of employees, and they're like, well, we do need that money. And we do need these exclusive deals so that GameSpot or whoever isn't getting that same stuff. So I guess we will go and be pretty positive towards you. And that's really frustrating. And they lose that ability to say no because their expenses have increased as well. With a big channel, you get the ability to say no. And that's kind of what I would one day hope to have, is the ability to just say, nope, screw you. I did a deal with Kinguin back when Mass Effect Andromeda came out. And I told them I want to be able to talk about this game the way I want to talk about it. If I think the game sucks, I'll say the game sucks, and I'm not going to fake my way through it saying that it's incredible when it's simply not. And they didn't like that. They were not very comfortable with it. They didn't want to sponsor a negative video, which is understandable. But I kind of understand what they were saying. But still, because they were offering me a copy of the game, I felt that I couldn't say no because I wouldn't be able to cover the game otherwise because I didn't have the money for the game. So with a bigger channel, you get credibility, you get the ability to say no, you get review codes from the company so you can get the games earlier and cover them earlier in competition with the big companies. So it's just, there's a bunch of positives and negatives to it. I do like the smaller community. It's much more intimate. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of inevitable. But with the ever increasing technology we've got with like Discord, for instance, where no matter how big the channel is, I can still know a lot of you guys based on just your username and a profile picture, and sometimes those change, but I still know who everyone is because of the Discord and all of that, and I think that that's really cool. So yeah, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both, but I'd like the challenge of a big channel. It certainly would be helpful. Let's see. Let's see. Do you have something in your front pocket for us? Asks Spookler's Moon of Luna. A reference to the song we played at the beginning. That's actually why I played the song at the beginning, because I love that song. It's from South Park, actually. It's the song Butters dances and Tap dances to. It's great. We used to have that as the intro for every show, but like it started getting questionable as to whether or not it was going to start getting flagged for copyright stuff. So I had to take it down, but that still is just fantastic. I love it. Let's see. What are your thoughts? Same guy asks, what are your thoughts on how the channel has developed and grown? I think it's been good. I wish I could have been more involved on the Discord than I currently have been, but it's just tough. There's only so many hours in the day. You know, I'm still going to school. I'm in shows. I also have to make videos and play the games that I'm making the videos about, all in a very small amount of time. So a lot of the time there's just not enough hours in the day to dedicate one of them to sitting down and just being on the Discord. I could probably find the time, and I intend to. I just have to, you know, budget my time more accurately. But I think it's grown really well. We got some new faces in there. The Discord has grown a lot. The YouTube channel, it's weird because it's grown and we have a pretty consistent stream, about 5,000 views a video, which is comfortable. And then some videos shoot up to 300,000, some shoot to 25, 30,000. Those are good. I just have to find a way to provide the content people want, while also future-proofing the channel so that I'm not just covering Assassin's Creed or The Witcher 3 or South Park or whatever. Like, I need to cover a lot of things so that I'm safeguarded in the future. I don't want to become pigeonholed like a lot of people found themselves, for instance, after Fallout 4. Maddie, for instance, for all I know, he might be watching. It is tough because I was in the same position, because you dedicate yourself to one game and you cover that game really, really well, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, the game is out and everybody's moved on, but your channel is still there, and it's tough to shift like that position. I took a break from gaming content, vlogged for a summer so that I could own my editing skills, and then I jumped back into gaming. So it's just like, it's a constant balancing act, and that's too bad that it is, but that's just what it is. Let's see. Oh crap. J Molaison. J Molaison. I don't know if that's two words or one. Either way, I can't say a J and M right after each other. Jimlyson. Jimlyson. Either way, on Discord, he asks, in your opinion, what would make an amazing RPG? What settings, scenario, gameplay elements, the whole package? Ooh, Nelly, this is a big question and one that's really tough. Really, really tough to answer, because there's a lot, like, an RPG it can work in most settings. I think there's a way to make an RPG work in pretty much any situation or narrative setting. There really is no limit other than the development and the gameplay elements, especially. And there's a constant balancing act between gameplay and realism that you have to balance between. So, like, today I was listening to a live stream Ubisoft did talking about the upcoming Assassin's Creed game, and he was talking about the fact that they had to make the war elephants actually a little bigger than they naturally would have been, so that for gameplay reasons, Bayek could run under their legs to increase the mobility, because if they had it at an appropriate height level, he would have had to duck and it wouldn't have worked quite the same. So for gameplay reasons, they had to stretch on some of the realism. So there's always a constant balancing act. For me, a setting that I've always been fascinated with has, of course, been ancient Egypt. And so that's why I'm really hoping that Assassin's Creed Origins can do a really good job. But I've also always been really, really interested in the World War II era, especially in Nazi Germany, not for the like, hey, you know, anti-fascist, whatever bullcrap, but for actual historical reasons. I've been interested in World War II, and I think that there's ways that you can do a World War II RPG that could be really cool. Maybe you're playing as a spy, and or maybe you are working very similar to the Saboteur. Maybe you set the game in Paris, and you know, as the Germans are coming in, you are trying to revitalize the resistance or something, or maybe you actually set it during the events of Operation Valkyrie. Like, that could be really interesting, but then you're on a strict narrative bridge that you can't fall off, and you got to stick to what you know it actually happened. So it's just tough. Like, there's a lot of ways that it could work, but I'd really have to think about that before answering what would be the best RPG, or what could really happen, or make a good RPG. Because I really honestly believe you can make most things work as an RPG. It just is a matter of that balancing act. So I don't know. Or you could play as Hitler and upgrade his mustache. Yeah, there you go. That's an option. I want a Witcher-style game set in the Lord of the Rings universe, says Crazy Gaming. That could be interesting, actually. I mean, they have offered Lord of the Rings. They also offered Game of Thrones, I believe. Or maybe it was just Game of Thrones. Either way, they offered one or both of those to Bethesda game studios, and they turned it down to focus on, you know, Elder Scrolls and Skyrim at the time. So they've had offers like that. If they could bring that to CD Projekt Red, I think if any company could do it well, it would be them. But that could be really interesting. That could be really, really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So many of these stories and whatever you'd call them, franchises could work so well. They just need to have the right team behind them. Let's see. Tim the Enchanter. Yo, Luke, how are you doing overall, and what are you planning to do on the channel during the last 2 months of the year? Well, I'm planning to try to finish out the year relatively strong. Assassin's Creed Origins is going to be a big game to discuss and do a critique of. I certainly want to really delve into that one, because I really see a lot of potential in that. And my gut tells me that game is going to be something special. It's either going to be something special in the sense that it's incredible and it's Game of the Year material, or it's going to be special in the sense that it's going to be the next Fallout 4 and it's going to horribly disappoint everybody, and Ubisoft is going to be, you know, a new villain, as if they weren't one already for a lot of gamers. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'd like to start doing not specifically a gaming podcast, but also start doing a regular, just normal podcast where I can sit down with a friend or have somebody come in and actually just talk with them for an hour or two. I'd like to do that over on my personal channel that I haven't updated in like 2 or 3 months because I've been so focused on this channel. But I'd like to do that over on that channel, and I think that could be pretty interesting. I think that could be really interesting to just have an opportunity to just talk about whatever I want to talk about with anybody I want to talk with, and not have to worry about sticking strictly to gaming. And then I could also still stick with Talk Gaming as a podcast. I'm also looking at doing Talk Gaming officially as a series, but also in 50 episode seasons. So for instance, this season, I just realized I have the Jack Frags text still there from Friday. There we go. We got rid of that. So I like, we're probably going to take a week or two break around Christmas time from the podcast specifically, so that I can focus on friends and family. And I'm also looking at changing jobs and moving either in December or January. I'm hoping to have that new job by mid-November or early November, hopefully. I don't think I can talk about it just yet for whatever privacy or in case it doesn't work out, just for that sake, so that they aren't put on the spot. But yeah, I am looking at changing jobs up, which will be helpful. Let's see, I saw another question. Let's see. Oh crap, I lost the scrolling thing got kind of crazy. There we go. Okay. Comments. what do you think? Or Thirst says, do you like the Switch? I actually really do like my Switch. I hadn't had a game for it in a while, and then I got Stardew Valley, which I'm back into again, and of course Mario Rabbids, which has been great. Mario Odyssey comes out, or Super Mario Odyssey, or whatever they're calling it, comes out on the same day as Assassin's Creed Origins. Origins is getting the preferred status. It's getting my attention right after launch, and then probably in like November or December I'll start playing the Super Mario Odyssey or whatever. But no, I really like my Switch, and they're steadily getting some games out for it. I'm enjoying them. For about a month or two, it didn't get hardly any use at all. Once I finished Zelda and I finished like I had Mario Kart, I had ARMS, but they just didn't offer a whole lot to me, so I didn't really see the need to go through them. So yeah. No, I like it. I wish I got to use it more, but now I actually can, which is nice. Let's see. Geralt says, I don't want a Bethesda game in the Lord of the Rings lore. I don't want that. I want a good story, not a sandbox where I have to mod the shit out of it so it's playable. Well, I would agree. I would not give them the rights to it. I would give it to CD Projekt Red, because I mean, they took a book series and they produced The Witcher 3. It took them 2 games to get there, but the second game was actually fairly good. The first one really wasn't very good at all, but the second game was pretty good, and the third one was amazing. And I think that they certainly could do a lot if they were given a rich lore-filled world like that. I really think it could be fantastic. But yeah, I would agree. Bethesda has proven themselves to be incapable of properly handling lore. They just don't care about it, and they've said as much. Like Pete Hines has said, we're focused on making a fun video game. We're not focused on trying to adhere to the lore strictly and super accurately. That's just not their intention, and that's fine. Some people really like it as a result of that, but when you're dealing with the Lord of the Rings, I don't think you can screw around with that the way that they did. So let's see, what games am I waiting for right now? Origins, that's the big one right now. Origins, once I get that, I'll either be a very happy camper or very sad, because again, I have been waiting since I was like 6 years old to get a really good ancient Egyptian video game, and this looks like it actually might be it. So I'm really hopeful. Over on the Discord, Banana Brains, whatever happened to you wiping the floor with Bethesda? Don't worry, I still have that cooking. For those of you not familiar, I said I was going to do a video where I would wipe the floor with Bethesda. Also, literally, I would go and get a mop, and I would put Bethesda's company logo on it, and then I would mop the floor with Bethesda as the finishing one. I actually really do intend on making that. I just did the Bethesda Common Sense and Lore video, and I felt that to come out right after that with a Bethesda sucks at you know everything video was a bit repetitive, so I decided to give it a little bit more time. But I'll probably come out with that probably early November while I'm playing through Assassin's Creed Origins. That will be my my video for one of those weeks. I'd also like to do more videos throughout the week, but it's just tough because I tend to do longer videos and they just take a while to make. I don't want to be a news channel. I really don't like the idea of just reading articles, because that's what it is. Like when you look at, I love a lot of the YouTubers that do these types of things, and I watch them to get my gaming news. It's just not something I would personally like to spend my time doing, because it's so creatively numbing to do. When you look at like the British people, whatever they're called, whatever they're called. There's also the pretty good gaming. That's what they're called. Those guys. The No. You have Maddie has done it occasionally. You have like Lone Wolf or Lone Vault Wanderer does it. A lot of other gaming YouTubers do it, where they just read articles. And I used to do that type of content. They say this article coming from GameSpot said this. Read it off, and I say, well, I think this about it. And then finish with the video and ask for people to subscribe. I just don't like the idea of being required to just read off of a piece of paper for my content. So I don't know. Leica says, Lukabu, how would you feel if Bethesda make a game with a story on par with The Witcher 3, but with bad gameplay and still using the creation engine? At this point, I mean, they have to get rid of their writers. I honestly believe that, and they need to completely redo their engine. I really think that they need to do that. I don't see how they can honestly continue in the way they have been. I just don't see that happening. Let's switch up the gameplay a little bit. I really just don't see that happening. I think they got to completely rework it, and I don't think they will, which is one of the frustrating things about it. So I think that they're going to come out with another game. I don't think they've learned their lesson. I think the Creation Club is a great example of them saying that we don't really care what the gamers want. We put out Fallout 4 and it still sold well, even though it wasn't that great of a game. We're going to do the same thing with whatever our next game is, so suck it and give us money. And hopefully they just embrace the fact that they're not an RPG developer, and they can be humble enough to accept that and move on. If they can do that, then they could make a really fun open world game, but, you know, that's just what we're dealing with. Crazy Gaming, I don't sympathize with them in that sense, but I think the creed is really dumb. If nothing is true and anything is permitted, then what makes them good? Because they will do anything to get their way. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to stick to your lore, you really do. Matador says, to be honest, I don't see Hellblade as a game. Well, that was an interesting, I tried to call it an experience more than anything else, because I would agree, it's not a game in the same way that The Witcher 3 is a game, where it's something that you're playing. It's something you're experiencing, and that sounds really pretentious to describe it that way, and it probably is, but I really found that experience to be pretty incredible and pretty remarkable, and it made me rethink a lot of things, a lot of the people I've known in my life. It was really, really cool. It was really, really cool. So I think it was, I really liked it, but I would agree. It doesn't, games like that break the mold of game. Like, what even is a video game at this point? Compared to like Pong, where it was a game, but it was in a video format. Video games have kind of evolved so far beyond that they couldn't even really quantify as the same type of thing. And I think that's a really interesting phenomenon to kind of look at, because they have changed so much. But now it's not even really a technical term anymore. It's just this kind of type of entertainment. It's a new thing. It's completely different. I would agree. Yes, I live in Colorado. Hi from Russia. Hello. Hello. It's so weird hearing people from all over the world watching. But it's really cool. It's really, really cool. Orange said, GG boy, I remember last year when you were at 5,000. Yeah, we kind of shot up to 5,000, then we plateaued for a little bit, then we shot up to like 10,000, plateaued, then 15,000. We got it to like 27,000 in June or July, then we hit a plateau, and now we're reaching 30. So it's taken us a little while to make that other 5,000 happen. But it's probably good. It gives us a chance to stabilize and kind of get used to it. Icky's Pop says, hey man, really happy for you. This is just step one. I called it a few months back. Your reviews are very in-depth and informative. Keep up the great work, Luke. Thank you. Thank you. Mephew, the way my font is, I can't tell if there's an I, there, or if the U is just long. Anyway, hello from Brazil. Hello. Again, it's so weird to hear people coming from all over the world. If you are watching live, go ahead and throw in the country you're at in the chat. That'll be kind of cool to see where everyone's coming from. It really is a global audience, and that's really amazing. So if Bethesda did make a game with an amazing story, would you still think it would be worth playing, even if it did have bad gameplay, like they always do? I mean, it just depends. It just depends. It really does. Because the term bad gameplay could mean a lot. Like, does that mean the gun gameplay in Fallout 3? Or does that mean, like, South Park: The Stick of Truth, where the core gameplay mechanic was easily broken. Like, there's many elements that are moving. It's I'm out of words. I ran out of words. Leica says Kansas. We got UK. We got Minnesota. Ooh, I lived in Minnesota for a year in Bloomington. Kind of near, where were we near? I was small. I think I was like 9 when we lived there, but I loved the snow there. It's so dense. If you're not a snow person, there's 2 types of snow. There's really like dusty, light and fluffy snow. That's what Colorado is. It's very dry, and when you try to make a snowball, it doesn't work. But in Minnesota, you could take a handful of snow, and it's already so dense that you can just throw it at somebody. It's great. You can make tunnels in snow. It's great. I really like Minnesota's weather. Michigan. Oh, my sister and her husband live in Michigan, actually. Puerto Rico is Geralt. Let's see. Greetings from Israel. Awesome. Florida, Middle East, Velen, Belarus, JK, Omaha, Nebraska, Holland. Just interested, do you know any Russian words? I always ask it. Sorry. I think so. In high school, me and my friend Caleb, we went, he was my training partner for a lot of the MMA stuff we did. And one day we found an old broken chair. It was like, you know, there's the metal legs and then there's the plastic kind of body of the chair. We went and it was just the legs. The legs were missing. They had broken off and the janitor guy had ripped them off and it was just the seat. And we took the seat and brought it with us to every class, and we said that it was our Russian mail-order bride, and we called it Sutka. So that was recommended to us by our friend Denis Bolshakov, and he was the younger brother to Artyom Bolshakov, and we played on the chess team together. So if you know what Sutka means, I think that's what it was. I think it was Sutka. Then go ahead and let me know in the chat. I'd like to hear the actual translation. I believe I know what it is, but if you could tell me, just so I know for sure. What I do know is that my choir teacher was very PO'd when she found out that we had called it Sutka, because I think she knew what it meant as well. But yeah, we got Japan, we got England, we got Central Illinois, another England, we got yeah, we got a lot. Tatooine. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jordan says, come visit Minnesota. Visit for the snow, stay because your car won't start. I do remember that being a real issue. I mean, again, I wasn't driving. I was really little at the time. But I remember that being a real issue, is that you're often it would just freeze. I remember one time it snowed so much, it got so cold, you could spit and your spit would freeze into an icicle by the time it hit the ground. That's insane. Like, that's a whole nother level of cold. Colorado, sometimes it might get that cold. In Fort Collins, we're at the base of like the foothills, as they call them. So we're at the foot of the mountains before you really get into the high elevations. It doesn't ever get that cold here, but I remember Minnesota, that happened a couple times. Yeah, throwing hot coffee is fun. It freezes midair. I remember doing that with hot chocolate. I remember doing that. We had a good time. Yeah, I just like the cold. That's why I think that's honestly one of the reasons I love playing The Witcher 3, is because it reminds me of all of that. Just the entire setting. I know I would probably really love living in Northern Europe. I really think I would love it. Maybe one day if I have the money. Yeah. Gigil or GGL or Giggle, or I'm not sure how you pronounce name. I'm sorry. Again, I suck with names. But yes, that was what I was told, is that Sutka was basically just bitch, and that's how That's how we got around it. Because it's like, what, Mrs. Faust? We didn't say anything. This is our girlfriend. We set her down and we sit on her throughout all of class, and her name is Sutka. It's elegantly cultural. Like it says, my brother lives in Denver, and all he does is talk about how cold it is. He sounds like a lightweight. It really isn't that cold here. It really isn't. Some years it occasionally will get really cold. The last 2 or 3, it's been very warm. It's really unfortunate. It's really, really warm. But hopefully this winter is different and gets crazy cold. I would very much like that. I want a blizzard at least one time. I want to not be able to leave or get my car out of the snow. That's how much snow I want. Let's see. Questions. I've been neglecting Discord. I lost my place. Let's see. Oh, here we are. Here we are. I was in the wrong I was in the wrong channel because I'm a pro. Let's see. Ooh, the YouTube live chat just gave out. Oh, there we go. Oh, nope. Now it's gone. Hopefully we're still live. Hopefully we're still live. I believe we're still live. Yeah, health is good. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's doing. But the widget all of a sudden doesn't want to work. Come on. Work for me. Okay, it seems to think that it's not authorized to use it. So let me do this real quick. And I have the 2-step verification on, so my phone asks me if it's okay. There we go. And yes, allow the chat to run. Now is it working? Yeah, it looks like it's working. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Lenny Face. Happy 30,000 sub day from the beautiful Germany. I've always wanted to visit Germany. Okay, did that fix it? Hopefully we're still live. But okay, the chat seems to be working again. Wolfie says, what was the first game you played? The first game I played was chess. I learned how to play chess when I was 3 years old. And yeah, I don't think you can see them, but I have about half of my chess trophies over there set up. I need to just pack them into a box because I have no use for them. But I played chess on a very competitive level for a while. So that was the first game I played. First video game I played, I would have to say the first game I played all the way through was probably Freedom Fighters. Do you remember Freedom Fighters? Did any of you play Freedom Fighters? I want to know. Put that in the chat if you did. I'm going to pull up gameplay of it. I haven't seen the gameplay of it in a long time, but it was for the PS2. Yeah, PS2. Oh, I just saw the game box art, and it's making me all nostalgic. Freedom Fighters. Here we are. Yeah, let's see. This is gonna make me nostalgic. Thank you, Exceeding09. Yeah, PS2. Look at that high def text. Yep, I remember this. That loading screen. Yeah, just look at this. It's kind of cool, like in the middle of a work day. Look how crammed the screen is. I don't know if that's normal. Yeah, you beat a Russian to death with your wrench. And then you run out and think you get to the basement, and then like a tank comes out at one point. Yeah, you open up the sewers, and yeah, no, this is making me so nostalgic. This was the first game that I played all the way through, and I played it multiple times. We did the multiplayer constantly with me and my brother. We played it constantly. Yeah, this is This is making me super nostalgic. I really miss these types of split screen games. I really enjoyed those. You know, it doesn't take much. This isn't an amazing or jaw-dropping game, but it's a simple game that does what it needs to do and tries to be fun, and I really love it. So yeah, that's the first game I played all the way through. And then after that, it was Red Faction, the original one. And that game has aged terribly. Terribly. Oh my gosh. It has aged terribly. This guy got through the entire game in 4 hours. I was never able to get through the game in 4 hours. This is insane. Yeah, just look at this. Let me go back to the very beginning cutscene. Where is it? Yeah, here. Loading. Is this a cutscene? Yeah. I'm not using the audio, but this was the cutscene. This was cutscene for a PS2 game. It actually looks pretty cool. Then you see that, and you're like, oh, yes, we've come a ways. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it was 2001 or 2002. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. But this game, honestly, like, it made me get the feels. I played through it constantly. Oh, my gosh. We had a great time with this one. This co-op multiplayer, we played all the time. I mean, we played it constantly. It was just a great time. The plague comes through. You're a miner on Mars. It's really cool. It's really cool, yeah. It's like $1.30 on Steam, I think, right now. Or at least it was. So yeah, those are the first games I played. Getting me on a nostalgia trip. How has gaming affected your life? Well, I'd like to think it's made it better. I mean, I think gaming can affect a lot of people in a lot of different ways. But, you know, I don't want to do... I probably will eventually do it. But I don't love the idea of doing like a really sappy video on how gaming changed my life or whatever. But like some games have the power to do and have pretty profound impacts on who you are and how you view things. And Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice did that for me in terms of mental illnesses and things like that. It really kind of opened my eyes to all of that. The Witcher 3 opened my eyes to a lot of other elements to it. Like, gaming can have such a power that I think it's really significant. I don't think I could answer that in its entirety right now off the dome. I'd have to really ponder it a bit. But yeah, I mean, that's a video that probably will eventually get its own video to just kind of emotionally ramble for a little bit. But yeah, gaming is powerful. It's a powerful thing. Let's see. Angry Dolphin asks, what does or was your first PC pre-built, or was it a custom one? What do you think is better? I actually pre-built, or didn't pre-built. I built my first PC. I went to PC Part Picker, watched a ton of Linus Tech Tips. I put it together. It took like 3 days to do because I didn't know what I was doing. And even then, like, I installed the RAM incorrectly, so it was running at like 850 megahertz instead of like 1600 because I had whatever XPS or whatever it was called turned off, so it wasn't ever, like, in the 2 years I used that PC, the RAM was never running at full speed, which explains so much looking back. But I didn't realize that till I was breaking down the PC and I looked at the RAM and I was like, why is this running at this speed? That doesn't make any sense. And then I figured it out. Then this PC, I of course did a live stream of building it, and he's a beast. I absolutely love him. Without a doubt, building it yourself is probably the way to go, because you save about $200 to $300 on the assembly, and you learn how it works. You learn how to put it together, take it apart, clean it. It's really just better to do that. I really think it's better to build it yourself. Wolfie says, do you think exclusivity is a good thing for the industry? I'd like to know your thoughts on this. My opinion on exclusives is kind of an unpopular one. I think they are a necessary evil. People like it when YouTubers or whoever just says, no, exclusives are terrible. The Last of Us should be on Xbox, and Naughty Dog titles should be there. I really don't think that's true. I think one of the great things about Naughty Dog titles is that they are exclusive to PlayStation, and I don't think you would get those games if you had it as a multi-platform title. I think having an exclusive allows certain optimizations to happen. I don't think The Last of Us or Uncharted 4 would look or run as well as it does if it had to run on all the platforms that are out there. So yeah, I really just think that it's a necessary evil. I think it really helps sell consoles, and it helps generate hype. I know a lot of people that have gotten into gaming because they wanted to play The Last of Us because they heard such amazing things about it. They bought a PS4 on Black Friday or whatever. They got The Last of Us, they got Bloodborne, they got Uncharted 4, and a PS4 for $300. They played it and they absolutely love it. Now they're gamers. I can name 3 people where that exact thing happened. And so I think it's a necessary evil. I think I appreciate the fact that Xbox and Microsoft haven't gone that route. It is certainly more pro-consumer, but they shouldn't act surprised when they're losing the console war as a result of it. So it's again, there's a lot of gray to it. Let's see, what's going on in chat? Mario Kart taught me to drive. Oh yeah. Geralt pointed this out. This would be a good time to talk about the channel name change. I have been thinking about changing the name of the channel, kind of rebranding it, perhaps going into January, or at the end of the year, rebranding it. I like Lukey Poo, and there's a lot of funny puns associated with it. The reason I picked the name originally was because it was punctual, Lukey Poo. Like, it's quick, it's easy to remember, it's goofy, it's kind of silly and stupid. And it helps me remember not to take myself too seriously because my channel's name is Lukey Poo. But the problem is that there's a lot of elements associated with it that can be negative, where like for instance, gaming publishers don't want to send me review codes because they think that my channel is unprofessional as a result of the name, which is a justified assumption, to be fair. They think that the name is just not something that they want to be like, we partnered with Lukey Poo. So the name is a potential problem moving forward. So I've been playing around with it. We might do a vote. We might do something like that, or take audience suggestions. I maybe naming the channel Talk Gaming, maybe naming it like having a channel named Talk Gaming could be really good, just because it's like, that's the brand, we'll push it, it pushes the podcast. Then the littler videos are Talk Gaming Extras. Maybe the critiques are renamed to you know, Talk Gaming Critiques, or Long-Winded Talk Gaming, or whatever it is, or maybe just Long-Winded Reviews or Ultimate Critiques, or whatever we end up calling them. But just rebranding it so that it's viewed a little more professionally moving forward, so that we have the option to do some bigger partnerships and everything. So yeah, that's something I'm playing around with. I will update you all with an update video when I'm getting closer to a decision. But just so you know, that is something I'm floating out with. So if you're watching this way in the future and you're like, your channel was named Lukey Poo, what? Yeah, that's, then you obviously in the future know what my decision was. I don't know. Will the Discord change as well? Well, I mean, we might keep the the Discord as the Bowel Movement Hangout, just because it takes people a little bit of explaining, especially newcomers are like, what, the Bowel Movement? I don't know, that could be funny. Plus we'd have to change all of the jokes that we have built into it. Let's see. Ravy asks, what's your thoughts on Denuvo being destroyed? I mean, it was inevitable. Denuvo, for those of you not familiar, it was the sort of DRM built into a lot of modern games that was supposed to prevent pirating. It was supposed to prevent a lot of that. And it was initially marketed as being totally uncrackable. Like, this thing was mathematically impossible for anybody to ever crack. And once a game had Denuvo built in, it was not going to be able to be pirated. You had to buy it or nothing. The problem was that it slowed a lot of games down. It would require a constant online connection. A lot of bad things were associated with it. And so Denuvo, over the last few months, every new release where it's been built in, it's been getting done faster and faster, where Denuvo cracked in 5 hours. Denuvo cracked in like 3 hours. And now it's basically been cracked so quickly that it's kind of stupid, and it's not even really needed because it doesn't do anything. It's very expensive to implement, and it's clunky for everybody. And now it just doesn't work. So the fact that it's been cracked, I think it was inevitable. We'll see another iteration of something like it installed and pushed. That's too bad that we're going to see it, but we're going to see it. And yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of glad that it's been beaten down, because it did decrease and lower the experience for everybody involved. It made it harder for developers. It made it harder for gamers to play their games. And that's just not something anybody really wants. But at the end of the day, like, as Thirst says, just make a good game and we'll buy it. Like, really, at the end of the day, that's all you got to do. Just make a good game and we'll buy it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. The Shangri-Lamas, excellent name, by the way. What was that game that had Denuvo that the developer said they would remove it if it got cracked? Oh crap, what was that? What? I don't know. I mean, I think they've said it about a lot of games. I think they said it about because what game would that have been earlier in the year? Was it like Prey, maybe? I don't know. One of those games. But I mean, once it's been cracked, there's no reason to have it built into your game, because the entire point of having Denuvo is to prevent an initial hacking of it to the point where it can start getting distributed on torrent sites and stuff. And once it's been cracked, you only need once, it's pointless because it's already being distributed. So there's no point in keeping it on. Unless it's a Bethesda game. It's Pirate Bay for me. I'm salty like that. Knack 2, baby. Knack 2 game of the year. Nobody gives a shit about Zelda anymore. Meanwhile, people are still talking about The Witcher 3 2 years after release. I mean, there is a definite lowering in the amount of hype around it. I'd say that's fair. It's still an incredible game, and I think I've put more hours into that game this year than any other game I've played this year, which speaks well of it. Moving into my game of the year considerations, the fact that a single save file can get, for me, 85 hours of organic play where I'm not feeling as though I'm forced to play, where I'm actually enjoying it, that says something. Horizon Zero Dawn, good game, but after about 25, 26, even 30 hours, I started feeling like it was a chore to continue playing, and that's not quite as good. So there's all those considerations that go into it. And we're wrapping up here. Did you ever play Age of Empires? Yes, I really love those RTSs. I also played a lot of Crusader Stronghold, or whatever it was called. Played a lot of that. And currently, like, Hearts of Iron 4, play that with some friends. Have you ever dreamed of becoming a game developer? Well, I mean, a dream, maybe not. I've thought about it. I mean, it would be fun, and I'd like to think that a game I would head up would at least be moderately interesting to play. But ultimately, it's a totally different skill set. Like, game development is a very technical thing. It requires a lot of programming. It's mostly math and coding. It's not all the kind of like, we'll just do this. It's much more complicated than that. So, yeah. I mean, if the opportunity arose for like a consulting position to come in and offer criticism and critiques, I'd probably do that. But in terms of like being a game developer, it's probably not for me. Where was I? Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn isn't Game of the Year. For me, it probably won't be. As I said, I really think that Horizon Zero Dawn was a really good proof of concept and technical demo. I think the sequel and maybe even the expansion coming later this year, the Wildlands or whatever, I think that's going to be really awesome. I don't think it was a great game as an initial release, but I think the follow-up, what it's inspired, is going to really be impressive. Where was I? I saw a comment I wanted to call out. I lost it. Oh crap, where was it? Oh, Nicholas said, I was just watching your video on The Witcher 3 and I just bought it and saw you were live and wanted to thank you. Well, thank you, Nicholas. We talked about that earlier in the stream, actually, about The Witcher 3 video. And of course, that's the gameplay that's showing right now. So, I mean, that's cool. Like, we have somebody that just now that video pulled in. That's really cool. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your time with The Witcher 3. I have no doubt that you will. And we'll finish out with a couple more questions. Matador, will Bethesda ever stop with the bitch mode and give Obsidian a chance to make Fallout New Vegas 2 or at least Fallout Sin City or whatever they end up calling it? This is where I found a glitch. Look at this on screen. You see the guy floating? He just dropped in the water. I don't know what it was, but they were just like floating bodies. It's really weird. Anyway. It is weird. Like, Bethesda really does seem to be bitter that people love New Vegas more than Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Like, they really do honestly seem bitter about it, to the point where they even don't want to acknowledge its existence. Maybe they've given Obsidian the rights to do a Fallout game, and we just don't know about it, and it's really early on. Who knows? But, I mean, it is weird. It's just weird because they just seem bitter. There's no reason they wouldn't or shouldn't do that, other than maybe they're coming out with Fallout Online, which is something I could totally see them doing, given their recent actions. I could totally see them doing Fallout Online, big MMO like Elder Scrolls Online, and that's why they aren't giving the rights to Obsidian, because they want to maintain the complete rights for themselves. And if that's the case, I'm really disappointed. I'd much prefer the Obsidian game. What consoles do I play on? Switch, PS4, and PC. I do have access to an Xbox One, but anything I can play on the Xbox One, I can play on PC, so there's no reason for me to get an Xbox and actively play on it. It's just, it would take up space. It wouldn't be useful. Let's see. Oh, I have a question. I don't know if you've already heard about it yet, but what do you think about Death Stranding, given what little info we have? Really weird. I mean, the fact that he's explained it, Hideo Kojima has explained that game to, like, Norman Reedus or whatever his name is, the actors and the developers for the game, and they didn't even really fully understand it. That's a little worrisome, because it's going to be a really artsy-fartsy game that's not going to make any sense until he explains it, and even then it's not going to make a lot of sense. We can only hope that it's beautiful, it's artsy, it's fun. I don't expect it to be like mind-blowingly amazing. I expect it to be a kind of really weird artsy Japanese game. But I'd be happy to be surprised, but we just don't know anything about it right now. That would cause me to think otherwise. Where was I? Oh yeah, Wesley says, did you hear about someone who was sexually harassed at Naughty Dog? Yeah, I heard that stuff. I'm waiting to hear any more details on it, because again, like, sexual harassment can mean so many things, and it can also happen anywhere for any reason, and it's not necessarily strictly indicative of a company culture or anything. So I do want to hold off any judgment on that until I know more. Because again, like if it comes out that they're having like big orgies, sacrificing virgins while going through and doing gameplay tests, then yeah, I probably will be like, okay, that's kind of awesome, but I probably am not going to support that. But if it comes out that like, oh, one person did something incredibly stupid and they were fired, okay, then that's probably something I'd be like, okay, at least you guys handled it. And yeah, I mean, upper management typically contains a lot of really cutthroat people who tend to lack a lot of empathy, and that's typically why they tend to be at the very top. That's just how it is. Yeah, so that's how they make their games so good. Yeah, it's the blood of it's the blood of virgins. Let's see, what was thoughts on Bully, worst of Rockstar games. Again, like, it's tough looking back. It's a cult favorite now, and it's probably going to get a sequel after Red Dead. But Bully 2, I'd love to see that game. I think that game could be a really fun open world. Yeah, I think that game could be great. I think it'd be super fun. Yeah, Naughty Dog. I didn't even think about that. Really living up to their name there, Matador. Naughty Dog. Having big orgies and sacrificing virgins while reviewing gameplay. I'm never getting a review code from them now, am I? No, I've already bashed the Lost Legacy so much, I don't think they would give me something. I haven't played that game, or that expansion, I guess, because I'm so not interested in it. But people have already kind of forgotten that it exists, and, like, I just don't see why that was a thing. I think it was a complete waste of time. And Nadine sucks so bad. I just, pure definition of an unlikable character. If you're trying to write or a likable character, do the opposite of what they did for Nadine. I think she's just atrocious. She's terrible. Like, she's just bad. I don't see why she has to exist in the game. She's literally a useless character in Uncharted 4. There's no reason for her to exist other than that they wanted to have this kind of empowered female, which there's empowered females in gaming. I mean, and Naughty Dog has made some of them. Ellie, an empowered female. And they didn't have to try that hard to do it. But when they were trying so hard to make Nadine this big empowered female, it came off very clear that that's what they were trying to do. And it just sucked. It just wasn't good. Let's see. What do you think of Far Cry 5? I actually am kind of excited for that. I'm excited. I just am kind of disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm frustrated because I suck at shooters. I'm so bad at shooters. And so when a game like that comes out and I'm all excited about it, I'm always frustrated because I suck at shooters. I'm just not good at them. And maybe it's an opportunity for me to practice and get better with Far Cry 5, but I'm really not good at those games, so I'm always frustrated when I have to go at them. But okay. Oh, and this girl. Look at this girl dancing in The Witcher 3. Let me move the chat. Look at this girl. She was like hitting it. Look at that. Just one of the things you run across. What do you think of the generic game covers and names these days? I hadn't noticed. I have noticed that game covers are noticeably generic, but kind of everything is nowadays. Everyone's so afraid of offending anybody that they don't want to do anything. It's just kind of weird. I just don't like it. Yeah, Andromeda released this year. How weird is that? That was only in March. That was March. It came out like March 21st. It hasn't been that long. Do you play Overwatch? No, I do not. Again, I suck at shooters. So at this point, especially for me to jump in, it just isn't worth my time. Plus, I don't want to get stuck playing a game for 1,000 hours. I just don't. I want to find a good narrative-driven game that I can, throw a couple hundred hours into, get it really into, and then move on. So yeah, it's just not really for me. And oh yeah, Andromeda failed because it had hetero relationship options. I actually heard Polygon criticize it because it was too hetero. They didn't have enough other alternatives, and I thought it actually had a lot of alternatives, but apparently not. Yeah, that's why it failed. Where was I? Oh yeah, and Halloween's coming up. What should we do for Halloween? I don't know. Maybe we do a live stream, because it's on a Tuesday this year. So we could probably do another live stream of playing, like I said earlier, maybe we play Wick. Maybe we play a horror game, like a really, really good horror game, or multiple. That could be fun. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Okay, well, we've been going for about an hour and a half. I didn't get any coffee. Or Bloodborne. Yeah, Bloodborne for a Halloween stream. I like that idea. Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. I like that. I like that idea. Or maybe we return to Mass Effect Andromeda, the truly horrifying game of the year. So yeah, we've been going about an hour and a half. I'm very parched. I have not had any coffee or drinks this entire time, so my throat is getting a little raw. So it's probably about time to call it. But thank you all for coming out. 30,000 subscribers. Wow. It happened. It happened. We're going to try to get to 50,000. I'm going to try to put out some videos which hopefully will outreach and kind of expand. I'm going to try to answer Wesley's question. I'm going to try to work on some collaborations with some bigger YouTubers as well. And we're going to try to just try to explode up to the higher rankings as quickly as we can. And go from there and have a good time with it. But thank you all. You are all a huge part of this. You have no idea how much your support means to me. Make sure you join the Discord. My mods will put links in the chat in just a minute once the lag catches up to the stream. But yeah, make sure you join that. You'll get to talk directly with me, which hopefully will actually work now once I get my notifications fixed, and we can actually interact on a consistent basis. And if you're watching this in the future, maybe go over to the Discord and let me know that you just watched this, and I don't know how many subscribers or where we'll be at when you eventually watch this, but it could be fun to just you know, look back on this in the future. It could be really cool. And as for what time it is right now for me, it is 3:30 in the afternoon. We started at 2 p.m. my time, 3:30 in the afternoon. But yeah, I got some videos to work on. I'm going to try to work and finish a video that will probably be up maybe tomorrow night. I'm also going to see a touring Broadway show tomorrow. It's called Something Rotten. It's really, really funny. I'm excited. And I got to fix the video cropping. This entire time I didn't realize I was not cropped properly. There we go. Should have done that an hour and a half ago. Oops. That's what you do. This is live. That's how we do it here. But thank you all for coming out. I really do love you all. I'm truly thankful for your support. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace out. I love you. Bye.